It is great to be with you all today, not only with Bill Quinlan, but also Mayor Weston and representatives of the City of Dover, Mayor Jean and representatives from the City of Rochester, Mayor Hilliard and folks from Somersworth. I know we are also joined by Senator Waters, who I thank very much for his service in the State Senate. I expect there are a number of state representatives here, so could you all raise your hands just because there we have some. Thank you. I want to just take a minute to note that all of these elected officials at the state level work extraordinarily hard, and probably all of you know, but I always think it's bear repeating, they do their work going to Concord 6 months a year at a minimum, 3 days a week at a minimum, for the grand total of $100 a year. And they work extraordinarily hard, and I'm very, very grateful for their work. We are also joined by the first gentleman of New Hampshire, Billy Shaheen. So thank you, Bill. You know I can't say the best first gentleman of New Hampshire, so I thank you for being here and for everything you do for our state and communities. And I want to thank all three chambers for hosting today's event. I am very, very grateful, and what a great turnout. Very, very appreciative. Your work to support the vibrant business community in the Dover, Rochester, and Somersworth communities, and to help maintain the region's high quality of life is truly critical to our state's economic future. And it's really an honor to be here with all of you today. Because of the efforts of leaders like you, and the combined efforts of so many people across New Hampshire, citizens, businesses, nonprofits, community leaders, I can confidently report that the state of our state is strong, and it is growing even stronger. Since entering office, I have focused on following the example of the people of New Hampshire, who come together to solve problems every day, and they expect their elected leaders to do the same. The people of our state just want things to work. They want state government to work, to address our shared priorities, and to move New Hampshire forward. In contrast to the dysfunction and gridlock in our nation's capital, in New Hampshire, we have worked to bring people together across party lines to solve long-standing challenges and keep our economy moving in the right direction. By working with independents, Republicans, and Democrats, we've made progress to expand opportunity for middle-class families and support innovative businesses so they can create good jobs right here in New Hampshire. We reached out across the aisle and passed the most bipartisan budget in over a decade, which received nearly unanimous support from the state legislature. It's a fiscally responsible, balanced budget that restored investments in higher education, public safety, and economic development, while keeping New Hampshire sales and income tax free. In addition to continuing to ensure fiscal responsibility, we came together to tackle the big challenges that were threatening our state's financial outlook and bond rating. We ended costly lawsuits by working with both parties to replace our shamefully outdated women's prison, reach a fair agreement with hospitals to resolve the Medicaid enhancement tax issue, and rebuild community mental health services across our state. And while ensuring fiscal responsibility, we've made real progress in building a stronger, more innovative New Hampshire, where our businesses are creating more good jobs that can support a thriving middle class. When I talk to groups like you, and when I visit businesses throughout the state, the most common theme I hear is that we need a workforce with the skills and critical thinking required for success in 21st century jobs. To build that workforce, we have to start by keeping more of our young people in New Hampshire. We took an important step in that effort last year through our bipartisan budget. We restored funding for higher education and made it possible for our universities to freeze in-state tuition, the first tuition freeze at the university system in 25 years. And this fall, our in-state community college students saw a 5% reduction in their tuition. That makes a real difference for our families as they try to breathe just a little bit easier as they work and try to make sure their children have access to higher education. But to help young people fill the jobs that growing businesses are creating here in New Hampshire, we also need to come together as a state to ask tough questions about how we can best educate our children in our K-12 system, especially in the STEM fields of science, technology, engineering, and math. In June, I signed legislation that strengthens the math requirement for our high school students, helping ensure that our students are better equipped to compete in today's global economy. But should we also be requiring computer science in addition to biology? What are the math skills that our students need? How can we better integrate engineering and technology into our classrooms? To help tackle these questions, we created a STEM education task force made up of diverse stakeholders who are working together to make recommendations for modernizing the way we teach STEM in our schools. However, making college more affordable and strengthening education in the STEM fields are just part of the equation. New Hampshire's high-tech and advanced manufacturing companies are struggling to fill current job openings, even for jobs with wages over 25% higher than average. That's why we're exploring innovative ways to reach our students at a young age and help them understand that they can stay in New Hampshire, find jobs right here that are interesting and exciting, and build careers here that will allow them to support their families and climb the ladder of opportunity. Towards that end, Commissioner Rose at the Department of Resources and Economic Development launched a manufacturing video contest that partners 8th graders with local manufacturing companies across the state with the goal of producing videos that highlight the advantage of a career in advanced manufacturing. I'm eager to see what our talented students come up with this fall. In addition to a strong workforce, our state's businesses need to know that New Hampshire's small, accessible, and nimble government will continue to be responsive to their needs. To support our businesses, we're helping them sell their products across the world. We reinvested in keeping New Hampshire a top destination for tourism. We modernized our Corporations Act, and we doubled the Research and Development Tax Credit. And I have to say, being right here, no community or set of communities has shown more responsiveness than Rochester did when Albany Saffron indicated it wanted to come here and build its new facility here. And the partnership that Rochester helped us facilitate with Great Bay Community College and Albany Saffron, I think, is a great example of government at all levels, with business, with our educators, coming together and really figuring out how to be responsive to a particular need. And as we've done that, and as Rochester in particular has welcomed that company and Great Bay, I think we're just seeing this region begin to take off, as Bill indicated. So well done, everybody. We also have to continue efforts to strengthen fiscal responsibility by innovating the way state government provides services in order to improve efficiency and to protect taxpayer dollars. We're bringing best practices from across the state to the table through our Innovation, Efficiency, and Transparency Commission, and through the continued dedication and creativity of our department heads and state employees, we're working to prioritize and improve the state's focus on customer service. That includes building on efforts like our Business One Stop, which makes it possible for businesses to more easily learn what they need to do to start or expand in New Hampshire. The innovative high-tech businesses that we want to attract and grow in the Granite State expect and need to do business online. And having to print out forms, write a paper check, and mail it all in, which some businesses still need to do, sends the wrong message. So that's why I issued an executive order in June directing state agencies to move all possible business-related forms and applications online by next fall. Businesses, commuters, and visitors also require a modern and safe transportation infrastructure. So this year we came together to start reinvesting in our roads and bridges. Our bipartisan transportation funding bill is the most significant state-level investment in transportation infrastructure in 23 years, an important step towards addressing our transportation needs and keeping New Hampshire's economy moving forward by advancing critical road and bridge projects, completing the long overdue expansion of I-93, and improving travel for our workers and visitors. This transportation plan was supported by members of both political parties, the Business and Industry Association, and other members of the business community, because we all know that strengthening our transportation infrastructure will boost our economy. And earlier this month, we received the very exciting news that a $25 million Tiger Grant will be awarded to the Sarah Mildred Long Bridge replacement project, which is so critical to the people, businesses, and economy of the seacoast, and provides a crucial rail link to the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, boosting the economy of our entire state. And a shout out to Senator Jane Shaheen and Senator Kelly Ayotte, who both worked really hard on bringing this Tiger Grant here. But there are other things we need to do too, to make sure that we are truly accelerating our economic growth. It's only going to be possible when working families and individuals are confident in their own financial circumstances and able to purchase more goods and services. That's why I am especially proud that we passed the New Hampshire Paycheck Fairness Act, which received overwhelming bipartisan support, including unanimous support in the New Hampshire State Senate. This important legislation will eliminate an unnecessary strain on New Hampshire families and support local businesses by putting more money in the pockets of consumers while helping all of our workers access appropriate resources to help them earn a fair and equal paycheck without fear of retaliation. In order to keep our economy moving in the right direction, we also need healthy families and healthy communities, because a healthy workforce is critical to the success of our businesses. In March, we enacted our bipartisan healthcare expansion program, the New Hampshire Health Protection Program, a historic step forward for the health and economic well-being of Granite State families, businesses, and communities. By expanding access to health insurance, we will help reduce uncompensated care and the resulting cost shift to New Hampshire businesses. We will also encourage cost-saving primary and preventive care, all while injecting $2.5 billion in federal funds into our state's economy. This critical health coverage began on August 15th, and as of September 16th, more than 16,000 Granite Staters had signed up for affordable, quality health care. With this coverage, thousands of hardworking people and families now have the security and peace of mind that they deserve, and we anticipate thousands more will apply in the coming months. Our bipartisan plan first helps uninsured workers purchase coverage through their employers when that option is available to them. Other qualified workers whose employers don't provide insurance will be able to access coverage through a private managed care company. And by 2016, we will help individuals purchase private coverage through the state's health insurance marketplace, supporting our efforts to bring additional competition to our health insurance marketplace that will improve affordability and increase choices for all of New Hampshire citizens. Encouraging competition in the marketplace is critical, given the issues raised by Anthem's narrow network being the only option at the moment. I know that this is especially concerning to the Tri-Cities area, where Frisbee Memorial Hospital was not included in Anthem's network. The Department of Insurance has announced that 5 insurers plan to offer coverage on New Hampshire's health insurance marketplace in 2015, with at least 3 networks, including every hospital in the state. And we will continue our efforts to encourage added competition, improve affordability, and increase choices for all of New Hampshire citizens. Our bipartisan healthcare expansion plan will also help us address two other significant health challenges in our state by providing substance abuse and mental health treatment coverage to thousands of people for the first time. Recognizing that the safety of our communities and the health and well-being of individual citizens depend upon our efforts to strengthen mental health care services, we came together last year to significantly increase funding for community-based mental health care in our bipartisan budget. That commitment to community-based health, in turn, brought parties to the table and led to a landmark mental health settlement between the state, the federal government, and New Hampshire residents who experience mental illness. The settlement agreement further enhances community-based mental health services and increases crisis support services, helping to address the trend of acute mental health cases at our hospitals' emergency rooms. It also ensures that we can continue addressing our mental health challenges in a fiscally responsible way that protects the state's budget and ensures that it is New Hampshire citizens who are directing improvements in our mental health system rather than federal judges. I was proud to sign bipartisan legislation earlier this year to implement this landmark settlement. But we must also work to fully integrate these community-based services into our larger healthcare system. And we need our communities, our hospitals, and our healthcare providers to remain full partners in this effort so that we can ensure that our health system offers the right care at the right time, in the right place. As we are doing that work, we must also do more to recognize and address our community's substance abuse challenges, as substance abuse frequently co-occurs with mental illness. In particular, rising rates of opiate and heroin abuse and overdoses represent one of the most pressing public health and safety challenges facing New Hampshire. The abuse of prescription opiates and heroin is often related. As the cost of prescriptions rise, those suffering from addiction often turn to heroin, which can be less expensive. In addition to providing coverage for treatment through our bipartisan healthcare expansion plan, we are taking important action by finally moving forward with our prescription drug monitoring program, which is on track to be implemented by mid-October and will ensure stronger oversight of prescriptions, helping identify potential abuse and helping prevent the phenomenon known as doctor shopping. We are also taking steps to expand the use by first responders of naloxone, which is also known as Narcan, which has proven to be a life-saving treatment for heroin and opioid overdoses. In addition, the Governor's Commission on Alcohol and Drug Abuse Prevention, Treatment, and Recovery is working to implement its 5-year strategic plan to combat substance use issues. And to strengthen the safety of New Hampshire's communities and schools, we have also launched a public-private initiative aimed at helping reduce and prevent youth violence. Through the Media Power Youth Program, free media literacy teacher training and curricula are being offered to elementary schools statewide. Schools and districts representing more than 200 communities in New Hampshire are involved. And in June, we announced that Rochester would be the first model community in this important youth violence prevention effort. That's really because Rochester stepped up. As a model community, Rochester will also implement middle, high school, and parent programs. Rochester has demonstrated a commitment at every level of the community and among all stakeholders to addressing the impact of media on children's health, behaviors, and academic success, and we look forward to Rochester setting an example for other communities across the state. And I'll note that when we announced that Rochester would be the first model community, we did it at an elementary school here in Rochester, the name of which is escaping me, so somebody help me, where was I? McClellan, thank you. So I walk in and the kids are lined up to welcome me and the teachers are lined up to welcome me and they say, we have all the kids sitting in the multi-purpose room. And I say, that's great. And I say, so by the way, when's the last day of school? They said, today. And then they said, in an hour. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to be talking to a whole bunch of little kids about, violence prevention through media literacy. They did great. They were really a remarkable audience, and it was a really great way to celebrate with the educators and the kids. You guys run a terrific set of schools, believe me. That's what we've been doing on public safety. Working together, we've also set in motion an innovation plan that is strengthening the foundation of our 21st century economy. Over the past year, our private sector created 10,000 jobs, and our unemployment rate is at its lowest level since 2008. It's the 6th lowest rate in the country. I'll also note that a report this week tells us that our poverty rate is coming down. So those are good numbers. New Hampshire remains one of the safest, healthiest, and most livable states in the nation, and the best place to raise a family. But we know that there are still those struggling to make ends meet, and we need to continue working together to keep our economy moving forward. We need to continue to focus on holding down the cost of higher education, on strengthening our economic development efforts, on being responsive to the needs of the business community, and helping innovative businesses start up and thrive in New Hampshire. New Hampshire has a number of advantages when competing for businesses, including our low-tax environment, a small state government that is responsive to the needs of the business community, and our high quality of life. But as I meet with business leaders, they tell me that there is more we can do, in particular in improving state technology and regulations to make it even easier for innovative businesses to start up and to flourish. In June, in conjunction with the Business Finance Authority, we launched the Live Free and Start initiative, which brings together business leaders and entrepreneurs from across New Hampshire to make recommendations on how to modernize business regulations and how to improve technology that is used to do business with the state. The Live Free and Start Advisory Council meets regularly, and we are holding Live Free and Start roundtables at business incubators across the state to receive feedback on how we can ensure that New Hampshire remains an excellent place for entrepreneurs. Businesses and families also need, as Bill referenced, reliable and affordable energy to continue to grow and prosper. We must increase the focus on conservation and energy efficiency to protect our natural resources and to lower costs. And we must work to diversify our energy sources and encourage the growth of our clean energy economy so that we are not disproportionately reliant on any one source. Earlier this month, the Office of Energy and Planning announced a long-term energy strategy for New Hampshire. It was developed through a thorough public process, and the New Hampshire Energy Strategy proposes concrete ways to help reduce energy costs, create jobs, protect our natural resources, and improve reliability and diversity. It will take continued bipartisan cooperation to implement the recommendations set out in the strategy, and I urge all members of the business community to remain involved in the process. I'm also encouraged by the private sector's recent efforts to bring additional natural gas into our region, which can help reduce the cost spikes we have seen, especially during the winter. Energy challenges require a regional effort, and as we pursue our own long-term energy strategy, continued collaboration with our fellow New England states, the private sector, and other regional partners will be critical in order to diversify our energy sources and reduce energy costs for New Hampshire's people and businesses. Holding down the cost of higher education will continue to be critical in order to build a stronger workforce. The university system is open to freezing tuition for another 2 years, and I believe we can work with the system to make that a reality. And as we work to strengthen our workforce, it's important that we also take steps to encourage the development of affordable workforce housing. Affordable quality housing is critical to growing our middle class and maintaining our high quality of life. Ensuring that working families can afford to live and participate in communities where they work supports a strong workforce, helps existing businesses grow, and attracts new companies. So I look forward to working with local communities and businesses to determine how we can increase the availability of affordable housing. While our economy is moving in the right direction, I know we have more work to do, and I know we can continue to do it in the New Hampshire way, by bringing people together across party lines to solve long-standing challenges and get real results for our state's people and economy. There will be arguments and disagreements, but the people of New Hampshire know that what matters is what you do after you argue. Because the people of New Hampshire know that we can do difficult things, despite differences and despite challenges. I get to travel across this state, which is one of the great privileges of this job. And when you go from the seacoast to the mountains in one day, as I often do, you are reminded what an extraordinary, rugged, and beautiful and inclusive place New Hampshire is. We combine a sense of community and individualism like no place else. And no story exemplifies this New Hampshire spirit better than the story of Rustic Crust in Pittsfield. In March, the company lost their old facility in a devastating fire. But rather than despair, within minutes, Rustic Crust founder and CEO Brad Sturl thought about the future. And he said, okay, we have to rebuild. He said these employees rely on this business as he pledged to rebuild better and stronger while keeping his workers employed and paying them the whole time. I know because his workers have told me what that meant to them. Through the company's perseverance and commitment to its workers, and with the strength and support of their community, Pittsfield and Rustic Crust rallied together, and just last month broke ground to rebuild at the very same location. These are the kind of stories I see all across New Hampshire. We're an all-hands-on-deck state. When we face a challenge, the people of New Hampshire roll up our sleeves and we come together to get things done. That's how the Pittsfield community is helping to rebuild Rustic Crust. And that's how, together, we'll keep New Hampshire moving in the right direction toward an even brighter economic future for all Granite Staters. If we keep working through our challenges together, we'll find common ground and continue getting things done to expand middle-class opportunity, help innovative businesses create great jobs, and keep our economy moving forward. I thank you all for being here this morning. I thank you all for everything you do, not only in your lives as business people and business leaders, but also as leaders in your communities, as people who are still finishing a long day's work in community volunteerism, and then getting home and helping kids with homework, getting them to bed. If you're me, then doing the laundry. You know, I know how hard you all work. I know how hard you work to find solutions. I know how much you love this state, and it's just a great pleasure to be with you this morning. I look forward to your questions.